Second, how do we increase quality? And I think we all do the things we need to do for quality. But in our types of institutions, you're seeing some trends. An increased focus on accrediting particular programs. Now, maybe all of everyone's programs have an accreditation, but it's a growing phenomena in the private institutions. Of course, NCATE and nursing, those are all accredited programs, but you see much more movement toward accreditation of business and social work, and for us, we're thinking about aviation as being accredited. And so how do we enhance quality? Those accrediting bodies help you because they're always developing. They're keeping fresh those new standards, those new, whatever, they're called something different in each discipline. There are very good opportunities with business, and we really need that business relationship. The research and scholarship is important in our programs, but because of that professional preparation, so is evidence-based practice. And they need those experiential learning opportunities, whether they're internships, practica, or whatever, and that's where that partnership with corporations comes in. It's important also for faculty development, for faculty to be able to certainly not only keep up through regular professional development venues, but opportunities for them to partner with entities and keep their practice current as well. Something else you see, and this also articulates with business well, is you'll see an increasing number of research centers developing in the private sector. We have one for aviation and health research, another for ministry and spirituality, another for history up the upper Midwest because we're in the Canal Corridor sector of the state, and another in real estate studies. These are, of course, need endowments, and so funding is important, but those types of centers give our undergraduate and also our graduate students greater opportunities in research. I would also say, as we go forward, the history in the private sector very often, at least in the master's level private sector, is that our graduate programs are an outgrowth of our undergraduate programs in many cases. And so what you've seen traditionally happen is we've had very strong undergrad programs have turned into the graduate and have been very good, very, very good. But they have come up separately. And so the role of the Council of Graduate Schools has been very important as we are moving toward more centralization, continuity among programs, interdisciplinary. And so little books, I think for my colleagues here, we all are very familiar with these books and other things that come out from the council that give us that kind of direction in terms of how to bring very good, strong programs together to produce something together that is even more than what they are separately. Degree completion, final area I'd like to talk about. I do believe we do well with student graduation and completion because of some of the things that support students. And other panelists have talked at length about those types of support services, but those are really important, particularly for that part-time student population. We use the Noel Levitt's tool, the ASPS. I'm sure you're familiar with it, Adult Student Priority Survey. We just have our last report that came out, and they talk to us about what is important to students in terms of services. And the insights may not be among the top 10 things we see in published reports, but if you can handle those little things, it makes a difference. Looking at my colleagues here, we found out that parking is a problem for our doctoral students. Why is it a problem? Because graduate students generally have lots of space. Well, they come in earlier, and so, is that going to cause someone to finish or not finish? No, but if you can really have a sense of where students are. What do they tell us is important? 3 things. Flexible course schedules. They need evenings, they need weekends, and in fact, we're offering classes on Sundays as well. They need convenient campus locations. And we have 5 of our own off-campus sites. Higher Learning Commission changes the term of locations every couple of months, but they're sites. But we're also at 30 schools, hospitals, corporations as well. So that ability to go in the location that makes sense to them is very important. And then finally, the academic reputation of the institution and of the faculty. Our practitioners are known in the community. They are leaders in the community. Our students are known, our alums are known. That brings something back to the institution. And so those are things that we find out through surveys like ASPS. Personal attention, we tend to have small classes in the private sector, and so there's a very good relationship to the most part with faculty. Cohort models are not exclusive, but they are growing in popularity. And you have not only the support of faculty and administration, you have students supporting each other, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that know what the experience is like of trying to juggle all of these things more than anyone else. It's interesting, in the Pathways book, they had a quote from Dewey. It said, education is a social process, and learning is a social process, but the support that the students need is a social process as well. And both of those have to be hand in hand. Some of the other things we've discussed already, orientation processes that look at the uniqueness of our student populations, the availability of high quality online coursework, to be able to pick up that course. And it's interesting when you go into those course shells and you see them logging on at 2 in the morning. These are not just the undergrads who have decided it's time to study. These are the working people who perhaps the family is sleeping and it's time to go online. But to have a good number of those options, or at least some of those critical options available so that they have the flexibility. Graduate academic support. We have an academic support center. We just created new positions to support graduate. It talked extensively about writing and other things that they need help with. Challenges, of course, financial aid is a big one, financial aid. But again, I think there's some interesting twists that we can take that are beyond even we need more funding, because we do need more funding. But right now, for example, in one of our consortia, one of the Southwest Consortium, we're working very closely with community colleges. Now, that's a good thing because we're talking about P through 20 and how we all integrate in core competencies. But what we're hearing on campuses increasingly is students are going to community college first, not just to be able to afford the 4-year degree, but it helps them afford the graduate degree. You save money the first 2 years, and that allows you to go 2 years further into your education. That's something that we've not been thinking about that often. Financial is also things like billing, and that's where some of the corporations come in too. Have we ever perfectly integrated when we bill, when the reimbursement comes back? Because sometimes a couple of weeks of anxiety can really be a significant barrier. More money, of course, but there are other things in terms of how we bill, what our timelines look like that make a big difference. I would just close, because so much of this has been said before. I'd just like to add one thing. As we look at these reports, the path forward, there is an excellent case made in terms of the importance of economics, the importance of global competition, the importance of innovation, the importance of linking to the corporate sector. But there also has to be, and I think it's implicit, and we have talked about it to some degree, there has to be a preparation and a sound preparation of our graduate students to deal with social problems in this country as well. And we need to really start as much to add words such as social responsibility, social justice, ethics. Those are the things that are needed concurrently with the economic importance that we put in papers like this. As I said, I think it's there, and I think we all know that that's important, but our students at the graduate level can be innovative in terms of issues of justice and social responsibility as much as they can in terms of economic competitiveness. We have both when we're dealing with graduate students. Thank you.